Hi everyone. This week I thought we would talk about black beans. Black beans are very nutritious, and as you know, in a previous video I talked about the pigmentation. So the darker the color, the healthier for us because it has anthocyanins. My name is Chris. I am a diabetes nurse practitioner. I am very passionate about plant-based cooking. So we'll get started. Let me show you what it looks like. So these are your typical black beans. In some countries, they're called turtle beans. It is available worldwide and it is packed in nutrition. In fact, about a cup of black beans is close to 20 grams of fiber. Now, when you think about that, 20 grams of fiber, that's a lot of fiber. We need about 30 grams of fiber to 50 grams of fiber daily. So we need to get them where we can. Today, we're gonna be making Cuban black beans, and part 2 of the video will be vegan brownies made from black beans. So you gotta stay tuned for that one as well. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is, I do like onions in my cooking, and I probably alluded to the fact before that I'm not a big onion person, but I do use them in everything I make savory wise. And so we're gonna use like 1/4 of this onion because this is a rather large onion. And just making sure we do not cut our fingers here. So you've got your onion here. We're gonna start cooking this down. I've had this pan preheating already, so it's gonna sizzle when I drop it in. And I don't use a lot of oil in my cooking. So as you can see, I dropped it in there dry. And what we're gonna do, and I always talk about this, is water saute. So I'm gonna add just enough water here to kind of start that cooking process. And while we chop the other vegetables we have here, we're gonna cover that up. So I have 1 tomato here, and typically Cuban black beans do not have tomatoes. They do have tomato paste in them, but not tomatoes. But I have this really nice organic tomato that I want to use up. So in it goes, because we do not want to put anything to waste, and tomatoes are very healthy for us. So it's gonna go in, it's gonna caramelize. It's probably likely to melt in there, so that's fine. And this is what I do at home because I don't like wasting time. So as I cut up and chop up the vegetables, I put them in there and they continue to cook while I chop up other things. Okay, there we go. And let me just wipe my hands, cover it up again, let it start simmering, put that here. The next things we're gonna do, I really like different colors of peppers, and I have a tendency to buy these small ones. I like the small ones because they're already portion sized for the different types of dishes that I'm gonna make, because if I buy a big one, then I am obliged to use up all of it. Although oftentimes if I do, I just use half of it. And so what we want to do is just chop this up finely to go in there, and this will caramelize along with the rest of the beans. And I'd like to use as much of the bell peppers as I can. So I will chop this all as close to the stem as possible. So this is cooking pretty high. You can see that come up. That's the steam trying to come out. And as you can see here, it is like simmering really well. There. And every time you add a new set of vegetables, obviously the temperature comes down again. So you gotta allow for some of that time as well. But then again, I feel like I can save time by just doing this so that, you know, I don't waste too much time in the kitchen because I do have other things to do. So I have mixed that up. I do have garlic here, but I like to add my garlic last when it comes to Cuban black beans. So the next thing I want to do is actually put just about 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You can use apple cider vinegar or whatever vinegar. It just kind of helps flavor your beans. And not too much that it actually overpowers your Cuban black beans. I have oil here as well, and you can use whatever neutral oil that you have. This time around I actually used just a very light olive oil. And I also have this, normally I put tomato paste and I don't have that right now. So what I have here is actually ketchup. And trust me, I use ketchup for different things, just as a little bit of flavoring to go into some of the dishes. I'm gonna put that there. And here's the rest of the spices that you're gonna use. So right here, you've got a couple of bay leaves, which goes in the pot right there. I'm gonna have to pull that away. I do put a little bit of ginger, just a hairline, a tad, so you don't taste it, but you get the nutrition. You've got a tablespoon here of oregano. You have about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, I believe, of mushroom seasoning, half a teaspoon of salt, about a tablespoon of cumin, and a tablespoon of mumford sugar, because you kind of want a little bit of sweetness in there. So all of that will go in to the pot, and I do like to clean up as I go. And then you have chilies. Now, typically you'd put like green chilies in here. However, I don't have green chilies, and I do have chipotle peppers in the fridge. I buy this spice, you know, once in a can, and then I only use about one for every dish that I make, because honestly, this thing can get very, very spicy. And as you can see, I've taken out some of the seeds on that one. So let me just wipe my fingers here before I stir this. Okay. And we're gonna stir this. And all of these things, as it caramelizes, I like to caramelize it before I add my beans, because I don't like chunks of these veggies in there. I want to eat this where the vegetables pretty much will melt in your mouth. So you can see this consistency right now. When we come back in a few minutes, this would have gone down quite a bit. So we'll see you in just a moment. So welcome back. This has been boiling quite a bit, and it's been approximately like 5 minutes where I gave it. I did have it on high heat, and so that's the reason why it's cooking rather fast. And I wanted to kind of make sure that we check on it so that it doesn't burn at the bottom. And then after stirring this, I kind of want to add our beans into it. I didn't want to add any other flavor, because half of the beans is going to be going into the black bean brownie. So this is no salt or anything. And I'm gonna pour the rest of this in here. I love Cuban black beans. You know, on several of our trips to Florida, I go to this restaurant. It's a Spanish restaurant, but they have these Cuban black bean recipe that is just amazing. I think I can do this now. And I always order that thing every time I'm there. Okay, so we're gonna stir this very slowly so we don't spill. We're gonna bring this back up to heat. And what we're gonna do is start adding in our garlic. So this is the garlic here. And instead of chopping it up, I'm gonna smash it in there. So welcome back. What I have done during our intermission was actually assemble some kind of salad, because I feel like, you know, black beans and rice are pretty good, but I think we need to get other fibers and nutrition in. So what I've done here is that I have pre-washed these lettuce leaves, and I love them even just like this without chopping them up. I kind of like them rustic once in a while. And what we're gonna do is just put half of an English cucumber on here. And we're just gonna scatter it around the salad so that when me and my husband get into this later on, we can just get our table knives and chomp down on this. So we have quite a few. And cucumbers are really nice and refreshing in the summer. And I've taken 1 carrot, whatever vegetables you have, really. There is no magic or science to this thing. What you want to do is just make sure you get your servings of, you know, about approximately 3 to 5 cups of vegetables a day. and about 2 to 3 cups of fruits a day. So that's all you really need. And oftentimes, and you've seen me in other videos where I will make the salad dressing from scratch, I do have one of those homemade salad dressings that we're gonna pour on top. And what I also like in salads is pretty much add another type of crunch, which are nuts. And nuts are very good for us. They are really good in preventing cancer. So we're just gonna sprinkle today. The nut for today is gonna be walnuts. Put this on the side. And if that's not good enough, look at this one. So this is one of the salad dressings I made with one of my best olive oils, and I put one of my best balsamic vinegars in this one. It's the blood orange balsamic, and then a little bit of mustard, a little bit of salt, and garlic powder. I do have the recipe on a different kind of video prior to this. So what we're gonna do is drizzle a little bit of that on here, enough to kind of like coat that. What you can do as an alternative to this too is just put it in a bowl and just toss it with your hands and coat every nut, every vegetable, and serve it on a bowl or a plate, and it's absolutely fantastic. So we're almost ready with our beans. In fact, I think it's cooked. I have warmed up some rice, and as you can see, the rice here is red rice, and that I combined with white basmati to the fiber again, because fiber is really important for us, and we want to get it in as much as we can. And here we go. I have this now on low simmer. It was bubbling quite a bit earlier, but I didn't want to burn the bottom, so I now have it on simmer. Do you see how it thickened quite a bit on here? And it has enough of the, the liquid in there to kind of like coat your rice. And beans and rice, any kind of beans and rice is my favorite. We're gonna serve it right now because we're gonna try it. My husband would love this tonight. And you can see all the vegetables have caramelized over the top, and we've got our bell peppers in here, we've got the garlic. Here we go. That's a hefty serving, and if you want, you can dress it up with a little bit of black pepper there, and you can drizzle, in other countries, like in Cuba actually, what I have heard is that they drizzle it with lard on top. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to drizzle it with a tiny bit of oil here. And this is EVOO. And this is actually ready to eat. Amazing, right? And it's really meal on a budget. It's not very expensive either. Well, thanks again for joining me today. And I hope you like this recipe and you try it. And we'll come back again with a black bean brownie, completely vegan as well as gluten-free.